Welcome aboard, everybody. My name is KevinlyFather. This was the live stream. Now it's the like stream. Please like this broadcast if you're on YouTube. Give it a thumbs up. And feel free to comment and chat. Marcy, congratulations on being first. Noel, good to see you. Happy Monday to everybody, unless you're in Australia, in which case I think it's Tuesday, October 12th. Phyllis, congratulations on being third. Phyllis, one of our local favorites. So it's good to see everybody. Jen Psaki is giving actually, this has already happened. I haven't seen it, but this is from just earlier today, and I wanted to bring it to you guys because I like to cover as much as I can for you. So we got a bunch of people watching on Periscope. That's hot right now. Nobody yet on Twitch. A few of you in YouTube, so let's get going with this without any further ado because, oh my God, I hate ado. Where are the speakers? I want you guys to be able to hear and share this with me as well. So we're going to turn it so that you guys might be able to hear as well, because that's the kind of pro that I am. So let's watch this.
And the director
together. There it is.
Of the National Weather Service on the.
Hey, Trips. Good to see you. Hi, Linda. Hey, at Random. Aren't you supposed to be working right now, at Random? Deidre, good to see you. Dr. Howard, good to see you. This is our friend Jen Psaki.
Storm system moving toward the mid-Atlantic region. It's not just moving toward, I think it's clear it's here. If you look outside of our window and up the eastern seaboard, Liz and her team joined the FEMA daily operations briefing yesterday and remain in regular contact with the FEMA response team about changes in the storm forecast and any need for federal assistance. The White House wanted to assess the potential impact and determine any early action that the federal government could take to support communities across many states likely to be affected. Liz also proactively called governors of states in the storm's path overnight and into today, and she will remain in close touch. Those include Governor Cuomo, Governor Murphy, Governor Wolf, Governor Carney, as well as New York City Mayor de Blasio. She expressed the president's intent to ensure close coordination going forward among federal, state, and local officials in preparing for and responding to weather emergencies. Also, as many of you have noted, the president spoke with Senator Collins yesterday, as you all know, invited her and other Senate Republicans to the White House later this afternoon. This meeting is part of the president and his our administration's close and ongoing engagement with members of both parties and on Capitol Hill and on the American Rescue Package. Throughout those conversations, we've underscored the economic and health challenges that our country faces, issues he will, of course, be reiterating today, and the need to move swiftly to address them with a package that is big enough to get schools safely reopened, give financially struggling families and communities a bridge, and deliver on his promise to speed up vaccine delivery and defeat the virus. It's important to remember that the size of the package was designed with the size of the crisis, dual crises, as we've said. And I wanted to just call out a couple of economists and some economic data that we've seen over the last several days. A new report by the Brookings Institution estimates that with the American Rescue Plan, we could boost GDP by 4% and return our economy to pre-COVID levels by the end of 2021. A separate analysis by Moody's Analytics found that the president's plan would create 7.5 million jobs this year and double our economic growth and return our economy back to full employment 1 year faster. The IMF's chief economist said their preliminary analysis found that the plan could boost U.S. economic growth by 5% over 3 years. A couple of other just updates for you.
All of those are accurate from what I've seen, but the Congressional Research Service also released information saying that the economy will be back to pre-pandemic levels by the middle of the year, with or without a rescue package. But you're also talking about how much growth you want, etc. So do you want to get back to basics, or do you want growth? And that's what obviously it's going to help things move along faster if you pass the American Rescue Package.
Just today, the U.S. Conference of Mayors sent a letter to congressional leadership urging them to take immediate action on the American Rescue Plan. This letter was signed by over 400 mayors. I know there's a lot going on, so just wanted to highlight it for all of you. And West Virginia Governor Jim Justice, also a Republican, said in interviews today that he agrees that going big in this moment is critical. And last thing I just want to do before we get to your questions, I often note I'm going to circle back. I hate to disappoint conservative Twitter, but I am going to circle back on a number of things, as we often do directly. Conservative Twitter, but I am going to circle back.
Yeah, this is awesome. So the last week or so, they're grasping at anything to criticize right now. Oh, Biden signing executive orders. Yes, like a president is supposed to do. And that's exactly what he said to do. And 81 million Americans asked him to do it. That's how presidenting works. So they're upset about that. They're upset about, oh, look at Jen Psaki. She keeps saying she's going to circle back. She keeps saying she's going to circle back. All circle back means is I'm going to get back to you with that information. Rather than giving out inaccurate information or, like a press secretary is supposed to do, according to the last 4 years, attacking the person asking the question, she is now going to circle back and answer that. If you haven't seen it, I think I actually have it. Hold on. This is what's been going around conservative Twitter.
More directly.
Criticizing Jen Psaki. Hold on, I'll adjust it for you. Let me bring it down because it might be loud. Here we go. This is what conservative Twitter has been up in arms about.
I'll circle back if there's more I can share with you. But I'll circle back with you if there's more to convey. I'll have to just circle back with you. We can circle back with you. I'm happy to circle back with you. I can circle back. I will have to circle back on that one. That's an excellent question. Oh, such an important question. We will circle back with you, and we'll circle back with you. It's an interesting question, but we'll circle back. I'm happy to circle back, but I'll have to circle back with you on it. It's a good question, but we'll circle back with you on this today. We will certainly circle back with you more directly. I hate to disappoint you, but I will have to circle back with you.
Yeah. So the press secretary is telling the reporters asking the questions, I will get you that information. I don't have it currently, but I will circle back. So here we are now. Jen Psaki is about to circle the fuck back.
But Hurricane Maria funds, which was a question that was asked last week, the president has made clear, the status of them, I should say, that it is a priority for his administration to release this funding. We are working to do so, so that is in process. On the White House fence, which a couple of people asked about, I believe it was on Friday, our goal, the president and the vice president's goal, is for the Secret Service to adjust the perimeter as soon as it makes sense from an overall security standpoint. So we're working closely with them on that. And they are, of course, would be in the lead on that front. And the last piece I just wanted to give a quick update on was there was a question about the White House's support for FEMA's request of troops. We, of course, support a whole of government pandemic response that is catering to the unique issues and needs of our states. FEMA's working in strong partnership with states to get a handle on their needs and accordingly have requested the significant manpower in some cases for this unprecedented pandemic response effort. I expect we'll have more on this as the days continue this week on how they will be utilized. With that, let's go. Darlene, welcome to the briefing room. Oh, I know you've been here many times.
Okay, she circled back. There was the information that she was asked about. There it is. Here's the information. Doing my job Monday morning. Let's get this out there. It might be Monday afternoon there. I don't even know. What time is it here? It's 9:30. So, okay, so Monday afternoon. They got the information on Monday. The other thing, oh my God, what about bipartisanship? You said you wanted unity. We want bipartisanship. Us senators, 10 of us Republican senators had to get together and submit this letter. And Joe Biden said, oh, okay, thanks. Come on in on Monday. I don't want to call you in on a Sunday. People go to church. I go to church. I don't really take your time. We'll see you on Monday. Okay. Ah, hair on fire. Again, I'm not a Democrat, but this seems like a much better way to govern than the president not calling Nancy Pelosi for a year. But this is what the right wing is fixated on. And because of outrage, this is what the press will fixate on. They always go after the left wing press and the MSN. They've been doing it for so long that now much of the mainstream media, and that includes Fox News, by the way, they were the number one news station on cable. They're not anymore. Not since Trump lost. But they will begin to follow the barking dogs. So let's just watch and see how many questions are about bipartisanship or this big meeting. The president is having a meeting with members of the opposing party. Yes, that is what should happen when you're the governor. That's how it works.
It's our first engagement here. Go ahead.
On the president's meeting this evening with the senators, can you give...
Bang! Right away. Let's keep track. Let's keep tabs, shall we? This pen's broken. Let's get another pen. These, by the way, these are awesome pens. Right there. You can get them on the Amazon. That's the turn it upside down so you can read it. The Pilot G207 available on the Amazons. We're gonna keep tapping. We're gonna do this the old-fashioned way. Here we go. There's a back of a card, back of a business card. So that is one question. One question out of one. This meeting with the senators. By the way, the White House package, the proposal is $1.9 trillion. That's a lot of money. Yes. And we're in a major economic hole right now. And as you mentioned earlier, Moody's, etc., said the money you pump in now gets paid back. These are the same senators. All 10 of these senators voted during reconciliation for the Trump tax plan that gave the 1% on average $30,000 in tax breaks, which did not generate jobs. Because if you're a wealthy family and somebody gives you $30,000, you put it into savings or you put it into work for you in the stock market. Buy yourself some GameStop. So that's one out of one questions. The same people who voted for the tax plan that drove our deficit from $500 billion to $1 trillion. Okay? So right now, they're saying we'll offer $600 billion. So from $1.9 trillion, this is President Biden. Oh, I feel sick. To $600 billion. So about a third. Less than a third of what he was asking for. $600 billion is only slightly more than the deficit total in a single year caused by the Republican tax cut. Oh, well, it generated jobs. No, it did not. Job growth under Trump slowed before the virus. And once the virus hit, Trump became the first president in recorded history since we started keeping stats to leave office with fewer jobs than when he came in. The only president since we started keeping unemployment numbers who lost jobs.
A sense of how he views that meeting. Is it going to be negotiating? Is he going to be prepared to counter anything the Republicans might offer? Or is it just a session where, they ask to meet with the president and he's simply giving them an opportunity to voice their concerns?
What kind of question is that? Seriously? Let's move on.
Well, the president has...
Hi, Producer Joanna. Everybody, Producer Joanna's here. Everybody say hello to Producer Joanna.
Been clear.
Couldn't bother to get here on time. She's only the producer.
Since long before he came into office.
Welcome. Happy Monday to thee, Producer Joanna.
That he's open to engaging with both Democrats and Republicans.
Hoover, they didn't keep unemployment stats yet.
In Congress about their ideas. And this is an example of doing exactly that. So as we said in our statement last night, it's an exchange of ideas, an opportunity to do that. This group obviously sent a letter with some outlines, some top lines of their concerns and their priorities, and he's happy to have a conversation with them. What this meeting is not is a forum for the president to make or accept an offer. So I think that's important to convey to all of you. And his view, it remains what was stated in the statement last night, but also what he said on Friday, which is that the risk is not that it is too big, this package, the risk is that it is too small. And that remains his view, and it's one he'll certainly express today. Go ahead, Darlene.
So what would you say is more important to the president at this point on this first legislative test? Is it going big or going bipartisan? It seems like...
What? No, he won. I'm sorry, but the fuck your feelings crowd is now upset that they don't get to call the shots. I'm going to count that as a follow-up question. So 2 out of 2 questions so far are on this meeting and bipartisanship unity. 2 unity questions. We'll just call them unity questions. The president is willing to talk and listen to ideas. And most likely that $1.9 billion proposal will change. That's the way it always works. I have some ideas about how it will change. I don't know if anything will come to fruition. I don't want to bore you with them now because it's all just speculation.
Well, I think the president believes we can, and there is historic evidence that it is possible to take a number of paths, including through reconciliation, if that's the path that is pursued, and for the vote to be bipartisan. But it's important to him that he hears this group out on their concerns, on their ideas. He's always open to making this package stronger. And he also, as was noted in our statement last night, remains in close touch with Speaker Pelosi, with Leader Schumer, and he will continue that engagement throughout the day and in the days ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You mentioned that President Biden's proposed COVID relief package is designed to be commensurate with the crises. This group of 10 Senate Republicans, what they're offering, as you know, is more than a third less. The top line number, the $600 billion, is more than the...
I thought this was actually going to be a question about what's in that package for the American people. No, we're going to talk about the 10 Republican senators.
third less of that $1.9 trillion that President...
We covered this already, but yeah, this is valid, but I'm still counting it as a question about unity.
Biden says he wants. Given that, do you see that as a serious attempt at compromise on their part?
Well, I appreciate the opportunity to give more comment on their proposal. I think it's...
Producer Joanna wants to say to everybody, hi to everybody in the Kevinly family. We do a lot of oil changes, so the air filters are very, very important. We are your oil filter, essentially. As well as your air filter and your cabin filter if you happen to be on vacation. Don't forget to like this live stream. So under somewhere, I think it's a thumbs up. I don't even know. Hold on. Do this. Go on your page there. Yeah, thumbs up. Thumbs up right there. This is what producer Joanna wants you to do. I mean, had she gotten here on time, she would have been much more. But anyway, right down here. See this? Someone just clicked it right there. Let's see if I can click it. Down at the bottom of the screen, that little thumbs up. I liked myself. Wow. Producer Joanna, call to action. That thing just jumped from 12 to 18 in no time. You guys are awesome. Thanks to producer Joanna. It was probably just me talking about it that actually, but yeah, no, good job. Good work, producer Joanna. Thumbs up for producer Joanna. 19. Wow. That's you doing the work, Jojo. Here we go.
They put their ideas forward. That's how the president sees it. He felt it was...
How many times does she have to answer this question?
An effort to engage on a bipartisan basis, and that's why he invited them to the White House today. But his view is that the size of the package needs to be commensurate with the crises we're facing, the dual crises we're facing, hence why he proposed a package that's $1.9 trillion.
Does the president plan to invite Democrats into the Oval to have these similar conversations?
Well, I can promise you we're less than 2 weeks.
He's a Democrat. He's been talking to the Democrats about this for weeks. But yes, it's important that they go into the Oval, a confined space during the pandemic.
And there will be many Democrats in the Oval Office, and I'm sure this is just the part of our ongoing effort.
But keep in mind, though, that most of them have actually been vaccinated already. The vaccines that we can't get.
Effort to engage directly.
Well, asking that again in a slightly different way.
Oh, good. Hold on. That's 4 out of 4. Asking it again in a slightly different way. Let's see if it's a slightly different way.
Democrats who see that the first meeting the president is having face-to-face with lawmakers is with Republicans and not Democrats. I guess why is the White House doing that?
Are there any specific Democrats you want to call out?
Yes.
No, but it's been...
Doesn't have a name. Who are these Democrats that are so upset that the president is having a meeting with the Republicans? Please share. No, it's just water cooler talk.
Talk about. There's concern that
Just people talking about it in hallways? Okay.
Talking about it in hallways. Hallway talk. That's right. It is the Capitol. Look at her face. She's just like, just people talking about it in the hallway. Are they talking about it? Are they really super duper upset? Is that what's going? Really? Okay. All right. Maybe it's nap time. Maybe have a little bit of a nap. Would you like some crackers? Some graham crackers? Would you? Mm-hmm. Okay. It's just hallway talk. I gotta watch that again.
this meeting.
Call him a disgrace. Call him a disgrace to reporters that he's the enemy of the people. Come on, do it properly, Jen. I already said F in the broadcast, so I could probably say S.
the president is having face-to-face with lawmakers is with Republicans and not Democrats. I guess why is the White House doing that?
Are there any specific Democrats you want to call out?
No, but it's been talked about. There's concern that,
Just people talking about it in hallways? Okay.
Sure.
Yeah, it's just people talking about it in hallways. Is that what's going on? Yeah? Yeah? Mm-hmm. Okay. Okay.
Well, I can assure you that Speaker Pelosi and Senator and Leader Schumer, they have been in very close touch with the president directly and members of the senior team. He has been in touch, but also members of our senior team have been in touch with.
I don't know who that reporter is, and he's doing his job. But like I said, the reporters right now are all chasing the barking dogs. Yeah, he's having a meeting with Republicans. That's how it's supposed to work. Surely, there are some other questions we can get to that might have something to do with affecting the American people.
Democrats across the political spectrum, and that will continue. And there will be definitely Democrats who will be part of conversations here at the White House.
Yes.
On that. You said in your statement that the scale of what must be done is large. That's bottom line. Is $618 billion considered large by the White House?
Okay, I am counting that as not a question about unity. God, should I, guys? Because it's the Republican proposal. One of the producers in the room, make the call. Anybody at the producer level or greater, make the call. Should I count that as a, it is Chris Wilson. Okay, Chris, you give, what is it, 48 cents per annum? So I'll count that. All right, we're making it 5 out of 5. Because again, it's just, we're having a conversation. We have a proposal. Do ya? Uh-huh. Did you talk about that proposal in the hallway? Okay. Why don't you come in, sit down, we'll talk about it. Okay?
Well, I think our statement last night made clear that the president believes that the risk is not going too small, but going not big enough, and that his view is that the size of the package needs to be commensurate with the crises we're facing. That's why he.
Ha! That's what she said. Oh, do not.
Proposed one.
Is it 37 cents? I apologize. I gave you too much credit there, Chris.
0.9 trillion. There's obviously a big gap between 600 billion and 1.9.
That's what she said. No, don't. I'm sorry. It's Monday and I got nothing.
Children. I don't think any of us are mathematicians, otherwise we wouldn't be here. But we can all state that clearly, and so clearly he. Why
would a mathematician be there? Wouldn't that be great to have an actual mathematician? Remember, we watched Dave. Those of you who watched Dave on our Friday Zoom movie, he brought in a regular accountant.
Thinks the package size needs to be closer to what he proposed than smaller.
And in that statement, you called out
that's enough jokes about package sizes, everybody. Let's move on.
$1,800 relief checks, a substantial investment in fighting COVID and reopening schools, aid to small businesses and hurting families. A lot of that isn't in the Republican proposal. So why have this meeting at all if they're
Okay, I was going to count that as a genuine, actual, substantive question. I was going to count it until he got back to the Republican proposal. Why have the meeting? Okay. 6 out of 6.
not even going to take seriously what he is proposing?
Well, again, Ed, this is an opportunity to exchange ideas, to have a conversation. That's why he...
How many times has she said that? Is it 5 now? 4 or 5 times she said to say, we're exchanging ideas. This is a discussion. We're open discussions. This is what we do.
Invited them over here to the White House. He outlined the specifics of what he would like to see in the package in his speech, his primetime speech just a few weeks ago. And there are some realities as we look to what the American people are going through right now. 1 in 7 American families don't have enough food to eat, right? We're not going to have enough food.
Not Stephanie. She's got her own avocado tree.
Funding to reopen schools. We don't have enough money to ensure that we can get the vaccine in the arms of Americans. So there are some real impacts, which he will certainly reiterate as he has publicly and privately in many conversations. But
okay. This is like the 3rd time somebody from the East Coast has complained about the snow. Rick, you hate the snow? I should say producer Rick hates the snow. Well, I'll tell you what, producer Rick. I was playing tennis, and I had to stop this morning after 45 minutes because it started to sprinkle. So you're not the only one who's experiencing inclement weather. What'd you have, like 2-3 feet? Send pictures.
They've put forward some ideas. He's happy to hear from them, but he's also feels strongly about the need to make sure the size of the package meets this moment, and feels the American people expect that of their elected officials as well.
Can I ask you a quick on Burma?
Sure.
This statement the president just put out, among other things, it says the United States is taking note of those who stand with the people of Burma in this difficult hour.
Okay, we have a real question, everybody. He's talking about Burma. There was just a little bit of a coup there. Also known as Myanmar. They changed their name the last time they had a military coup. So, I mean, that's a coup question. Good job.
Is that perhaps a message to China?
I think it's a message to all countries in the region and countries who, will be asked to respond or to consider what the appropriate response will be in reaction to the events that have happened over the past couple of days.
Go ahead. Thank you. On Friday, we heard the president.
That's odd, though, that Biden called it Burma, but I forget what the official policy of the United States is. So diplomatically, they call it Myanmar, but in passing conversation, I mean, we all know it is Burma because it's been Burma forever, and maybe Burma again at some point. I don't know, but anyway, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't change anything.
President come out and say that while he wants to pass this bill with support from Republicans.
And we're back. Okay, so now we are at 7 out of 8 questions.
If we can get it, it has to pass with no ifs, ands, or buts, as he put it. That if we can get it part, should we take that as a sign that the president recognizes he may have to be abandoning his hopes for bipartisanship?
I think it's hardly an abandoning of bipartisanship. We're still at a phase where the House and Senate are working through, as you know, from covering Congress, the entire reconciliation, what the process would look like on the budgetary front this week. Senator Leader Schumer and Speaker Pelosi have both said they would also like it to be bipartisan. We'll see what comes out of this meeting today, and if there are good ideas to put forward, we'll put forward them. There's still time to do exactly that. And even if through the parliamentary process that the Congress will decide it moves toward reconciliation, Republicans can still vote for that. And there's certainly precedent of that in the past.
Republicans are allowed to vote with us anytime they want to. It's true. Absolutely true.
You mentioned that the Republicans can still vote for the bill, obviously, even if it's done through reconciliation. But some Republican sources say that's not really bipartisanship.
Okay, another question on bipartisanship. So that's now 8 out of 9.
Doesn't satisfy that promise because it's not true compromise.
Well, I think that the 1 in 7 American families who can't put food on the table and the teachers who are waiting to ensure their schools have the ventilation, the PPE, the testing they need, they will tell you that they expect their members to meet this moment. And we saw this as a good faith proposal they've put forward, good faith effort to have a discussion. The president's inviting them here in good faith, and we will see where it goes from here.
And what's the president's message to senators like Portman and Capito, who will be here today, who have seemed to warn that if you can't get unity on this issue, it's going to be much harder to achieve down the road on other issues?
The president is confident that issues like reopening schools.
Okay, so that's a follow-up question again about unity. So that is now 9 out of 10. 90% of the questions so far in the press conference have been, by the way, remember this started with circling back. This started up in follow-up information. She gave them several topics with which they could use to ask questions. I know that's not English, but I'm not interested. So here are some things we have available on today's menu. Well, what about the lemon salad? Well, we're not serving the lemon salad. It's a wonderful salad, but we don't have lemons today. Well, we really want to know more about the lemon salad. I know that's a terrible analogy, but it's Monday, and 90% of the questions are about unity. Come on, press. It's softball questions are one thing, and really the press hasn't been giving her softball questions. We've watched some of these. It hasn't been a series of softball questions. It's been hey, first off, congratulations, and then what about this and this and this? They've been getting down to business, but it almost seems today like there's no business for them to get down to. There was the start of that question where he's like, give me specifics about you're opening the schools. You got $900 billion for the people in the unemployment. You got this. What about a cap? Whatever. There's all good questions out there. What about more targeted checks rather than $1,400 per individual? There was some mention of 2,000. Why is it now 1,400 when many Americans were under the mistaken impression, by the way, that it was going to be 2,000 and additional to... There are specifics that we can talk about. Instead, we're just following along the conservative scream of, oh, bipartisanship. Well, how is this unity? Oh, how dare you, guy who won the election, House that won the election, Senate that won the election twice. All right, let's go back to more questions about partisanship.
Shots in the arms of Americans, ensuring people have enough food to eat.
Yeah, how about some vaccines? Are there any questions about the vaccinations? Has anyone in here been vaccinated?
Are not just Democratic issues. He takes his former Republican colleagues at their word, of course, that they're committed to these issues too, and that's why he wants to have the conversation.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. I want to ask you about GameStop. Some
Yes!
lawmakers have proposed legislative reforms like restrictions
I want to ask you about GameStop. How bipartisan is GameStop?
on short selling and financial transactions tax, that the latter of which President Biden supported during the 2020 campaign. So I want to ask you now if the White House would support actions like those to address the situation.
Well, as we've noted in here several times before, but I just want to reiterate, obviously this is under the purview of the SEC in terms of their review and monitoring. But this is there is an important set of policy issues that have been raised as a result of market volatility in recent days, and we think congressional attention to these issues is appropriate and would welcome working with Congress moving forward as we dig into these further policy issues. But I don't have anything further to predict for you other than we...
Ho, wait a minute. Marcy, are you saying the actor who played Screech passed away? He was, like, what, 53, 55, somewhere in that range? Am I way off? I never watched the show, but is that... Hold on. Let's just dig into that if that is breaking news. Dustin Diamond was his name. Oh, God, he was only 44. Passed away, stage 4 lung cancer. Yeah, this was Dustin Diamond. Played Screech. Lung cancer. That's him as Screech on Saved by the Bell, which has been rebooted. And Kevinly Daughter was part of the reboot, so you can find her all over. Wow. What is it on? Peacock. It's on the Peacock network. So if you want to watch Saved by the Bell, the new version, Kevinly Daughter's on it. So that's sad. Lung cancer. This is what he looked like lately. So, a sad moment.
Certainly welcome the opportunity to work with members who have proposed ideas.
Has there been any direct engagement with those members so far and what they proposed?
I don't have anything to read out for you on that front. Obviously, we're engaged at a variety of levels every day with a range of offices on a number of issues. But I don't have anything more for you on that.
And then lastly, one more on this, sorry. So there's no confirmed members right now on the Financial Stability Oversight Council. And is it the White House view that lack of officials in place is affecting...
I'm counting this as a second question, by the way.
Your administration's approach to this situation?
Well, again, the SEC is looking carefully at recent activities, and if they're consistent with investor protection and fair and efficient markets, that's where we think the purview is and the focus is at this point in time. Go ahead.
If I can ask one follow-up on the meeting with the Republicans and then a
Okay, and we're back. That is 10 out of 13.
follow-up on the Bernie question as well. What is the timeline that the president sees for these negotiations to end? How urgent is this? If these benefits are going to end in the middle of March, how much time is there to have these types of meetings, as you say, with Democrats and others that may want to take part?
It's incredibly urgent. And as you noted, there is there are timelines coming up, I should say, in terms of when the Americans who are applying for unemployment insurance will no longer be able to get access. As I noted earlier, 1 in 7 American families can't put food on the table. We need to plan for how we're going to get more vaccines in the arms of Americans. We need to have funding to help public schools have the preparations needed to reopen. So there is urgency. This is what the president is spending his time on, as evidenced by the meeting later today, and what the majority of our senior team is focused on at this moment. But there is still time to make changes, to continue to have a discussion, and that's why we're kind of escalating the number of meetings and engagements we're having through the course of this week.
On Burma, if I can, on the president's statement that he put out, he says,
Okay, this is a separate question, so we're making a 10 for 14 right now on questions.
the reversal of progress will necessitate an immediate review of our sanctions laws and authorities, followed by appropriate action. Is the appropriate action related solely to sanctions, or what other type of response may be on the table?
Well, I think that's why that was called out in the president's comments. As you know, we removed sanctions, the United States, I should say, removed sanctions on Burma over the past decade based on progress toward democracy. The reversal of that progress will necessitate an immediate review of our sanctions laws and authorities, followed by appropriate action. So that's why he called it out. I don't have any additional steps beyond that to predict for you at this point in time. Go ahead.
Some Democrats are hoping to repeal the $10,000 cap on state and local tax deductions in the COVID bill. Does the president support those insertions? And more broadly, does he support a general repeal of that deduction?
The president supports...
Okay, this is an actual question. Good question. I'm counting that. Now 10 out of 15, so we've fallen to 66% of the questions about bipartisanship. So, good question.
Democrats and Republicans putting good ideas forward and having a discussion about them and determining how we move forward with urgency to get this plan passed. But I'm not going to negotiate from here.
Sure. Senator Manchin was a little upset with some comments the vice president made on a local television show. Has the White House reached out to him in any way to kind of clear the air?
We've been in touch with Senator Manchin, as we have been for many weeks, and will continue to be moving forward. And not only is he a key partner to the president.
Good question. You're not going to get an answer to it, but sorry. I'm not going to call it a good question. I'm going to say it's not a question you're going to get an answer to. So I don't even know how to phrase that question that you could get a decent answer to, because that's all internal stuff. So it's not
the
bipartisan.
White House on this package, but on his agenda, and we will remain in close touch with him.
Last question on Burma. In regards to Myanmar, what, if any, efforts are being made to coordinate a response with allies such as Japan, EU, and Britain? And has there been any contacts with China to discuss the situation?
We have had
solid question.
Intensive consultations at multiple levels with allies and partners in the region and around the world. I would expect many of those would come through the State Department, so I'd certainly refer to them for more specifics. Hans.
Yeah, if I could just follow Burma. In your statement last night when you said you might take action, you referred to it as Burma and Myanmar. Mm-hmm. And in the president's statement just now, he only uses Burma. Is that indicative of a formal shift of the United States government on how we are to refer
Very solid question, because that's what I asked.
to that Southeast Asian country?
Well,
not that it makes any difference to anybody here, but it makes a huge difference to the people currently in Burma and or Myanmar.
Our official policy is that we say Burma, but use Myanmar as a courtesy in certain communications. So, for example, the embassy website refers to Myanmar because they are, by definition, dealing with officials and the public. The State Department website uses Burma, Myanmar in some places, and Burma in others.
So there's no official change. You last night used both, and the president goes 4 times with Burma. Was he meaning to be discourteous?
I don't think
that's the same question.
It's the conclusion you should draw. Certainly, he is watching this closely, as is evidenced by his statement. Go ahead.
When you said there's still time for negotiation, can you be a little bit more specific? Is the president going to give this 1 week, 2 weeks to try to come up with a bipartisan solution?
Okay, that's another bipartisan question. So we are counting that as one of those.
And then secondly, the CBO said this morning that the economy should return to pre-pandemic levels by about mid-year, even if there's not additional legislation. So how does that assessment affect the negotiations?
So on the first, I'm not going to give a deadline here other than to say that it is urgent we move forward for all the reasons we've already been discussing, including the need to ensure families can put food on the
1 out of 7 is unemployment, and yeah, we got that. And why are they at this point? 11 questions about that. That it just becomes hounding at this point.
Table, the need to ensure we have time to plan for getting schools the necessary funding to reopen, the need to ensure we can get vaccines in the arms of Americans. Clearly, there's urgency. As you know, and as many of you know who cover Congress, there's a process that's ongoing this week. There's still some time here as that process works its way through for changes to be made. So that was what I was referring to. On the second question, can you repeat the second question one more time?
The CBO, their projection this morning that the economy is going to return to pre-pandemic size by the middle of the year, and that's without any additional stimulus?
Yeah, the Congressional Budget Office. That's what I mentioned before. You know what? I'm sorry. I called it the CRS, the Congressional Research Service, different branch. Sorry, same branch, different organization. The CBO, Congressional Budget Office, is a nonpartisan that looks at numbers. Sometimes they're wildly off, but they're doing their best. And they came out and said, yeah. We'll probably get back to pre-pandemic levels sometime in the middle of the year with or without a rescue package. But they also said it'll be much quicker if we do get the package. And remember, Jen Psaki before was talking about the Moody's Analytic, etc., dealing with growth, not just getting back to where we were.
Well, the president's plan, as we've been discussing in here, was designed to achieve certain basic goals. Getting shots in the arms of Americans, helping the 1 in 7 families who are going hungry, and the nearly 7 million Americans who are facing possible eviction during a pandemic. The CBO projections for next year's growth isn't a measure of all of these things, right? It's not a measure of how each American family is doing and whether the American people are getting the assistance they need or whether we're able to get vaccines and the shots of people. So
that's a very good answer, because there's a lot more in the $1.9 trillion than just trying to get the economy back to where it was a year and a half ago. And I think Jen Psaki said next year. We're talking about 2021, not next year.
We've, of course, it answers a different question, I should say. So our focus is on what the American people need to get through this crisis, which is why we are pushing for that.
She should have mentioned, but we're looking to grow the economy. We're not happy with just getting back to where we were. We need to put the bricks in place to build this house.
This piece of legislation.
Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On school reopening, the Democratic mayor of Chicago has said that it's safe to reopen schools. They've invested $100 million into safety measures.
That's a real question. Good job, press.
But the teachers there remain on the verge of striking.
I don't know who that is, but she's asking a good question.
Does the White House agree with the mayor that if enough funding has been put into place and safety measures have been taken, that kids should return to schools?
Well, let me first say the president has enormous respect for Mayor Lightfoot, and he has also been a strong ally to teachers his entire career. Of course, as you know, Dr. Biden, his wife, is a teacher, so even in his home. He trusts the mayor and the unions to work this out. They're both prioritizing the right things, which is ensuring the health and safety of the kids and teachers and working to make sure that children in Chicago are getting the education.
Dr. Howard, I think in the chat room just updated. Yeah, she got the booster shot, the vaccine. So she's gotten both vaccines now. In 2 weeks, she should be prepared to get out there and see the world. So congratulations, Dr. Howard. That is fantastic news. Just talking to a friend of mine, lives a couple of blocks over there. His dad, who is, let's see, he's got an older brother who's 65. His parents got to be up with her, in their 90s? Producer Joanna, how old are, Aaron? How old are his parents? Producer Joanna might know. The mind-boggling. They scheduled Dad to get the shot, the vaccine. He wouldn't take it. His parents watch Fox News, so didn't want to take the vaccine. Okay. But I mean, we need to take the vaccine. That's how the whole herd immunity works before the virus mutates to a form that with this just looks like the dress rehearsal virus.
They deserve. So he is hopeful. We are hopeful they can reach common ground as soon as possible.
Does the White House have a role to play here, though, with Chicago and other cities in terms of mediating these negotiations and getting kids back to school?
We certainly remain in touch with a range of parties, but again, we hope that they can come to common ground soon.
And just lastly, on the overall COVID relief package, in terms of understanding what, the White House
That was a question about bipartisanship again. So,
means by bipartisan, would you consider
okay, I'm going to count that as bipartisan.
a bill bipartisan
So, okay, just stop saying bipartisan. I'm not marking that down. That's the same question.
if it doesn't?
90 years old. I don't know if that's about 90. Yeah, he's somewhere around 90 years old, and he's refusing to get it. He watches Fox News. And if you watch Fox News, especially TV Karen in the evenings, they're putting a lot of doubts out there. 87. But the bottom line is well old enough to get the shot. And if you have seniors in your family, they've been quarantined now. They're not going anywhere. I have not seen, like I said, just a couple of blocks from here, I haven't seen the parents outside the house going for a walk, doing anything. This entire time.
And have any support, Republican support in Congress, but it has, support among Republican voters?
Well, I think you touched.
Wow, Joanna, you know a lot of specifics. The mom is 90, the dad is 87. So the 87-year-old father. By the way, Dad, nice work, buddy, getting yourself an older lady. But refuses to get the vaccine. So they'll work on it. It's got to be frustrating. Both my parents, they got the vaccine on the 27th. Is anybody else experiencing that with their parents, that they don't want to get the vaccines?
On an interesting point, which is that 74% of the public, according to recent polls, supports this package and the key components of this package. Democrats and Republicans. We just saw the Republican governor of West Virginia come out earlier today and advocate for a big package. So, when the president talks about unifying the country and bringing the country together, he's not suggesting that he is going to make one party out of the Democratic and Republican parties in Congress. But he is meeting with Republicans today, 10 Republicans who have sent this letter, because he feels they made a good faith effort to put the top lines of a proposal forward, and he wants to have that engagement and encourages that sharing of ideas. So I don't think it's an either or, but I think it's a both, and we certainly feel that the components that are in this package are the basis of what should garner bipartisan support.
So based on the polling you cited, if there's not enough Republican support in Congress, would that be considered bipartisan based on?
Oh, whoa. What is this about? Actions speak louder says 13 out of 23 people died from Pfizer, so they are updating the vaccine? Does anybody else know anything about that? Because I have not heard anything about that. And what 23 people are these people?
The measures he's setting for himself.
I will let you be the judge of that. Go ahead.
And by the way, this is what I said what was happened well before the vaccine ever came out, is that old people in their 80s and 90s have a tendency to pass away. So at some point, there will be somebody who, do me a favor, Actions, I'm doing a broadcast right now, handling multiple screens. Shoot me a link or something, or give me some sort of source. Don't tell me to look it up right now. I'm kind of busy. And by the way, I tried to look it up and I got no results. So throw me a bone here. What will happen, and what has probably happened, is that an old person is going to get a vaccine and then is going to die within a few days. Old people die. That's what happens. And those old people dying, having nothing to do with the vaccine, are going to then be amplified by the white wing. And things are going to go nuts.
Thank you very much, John.
Okay, Rick, you're wrong. It's 23 people. What 23 people died after receiving the virus or the vaccine? What are we? Somebody fill me in on that. You know what? I'm going to let you guys. I'll look at it later. Let's get back to this. This is the thing. If this was an actual story, we'd all be hearing about it. This would be every question. We wouldn't be talking about, well, tell us about the tea party that the president's having in the Oval Office. This would be the lead story. The vaccines kill people. Okay, so there's no certain connection. Thank you, Rick. According to Stienmar Madsen, medical director of the Norwegian Medicines Agency, there is no certain connection between these deaths and the vaccine. Thank you. And that might have been the whole initial study, and that might have been some of them had a placebo. I don't know. But if it was vaccine related, that would have been duplicated across multiple populations.
Question for one reporter who couldn't be here because of social distancing. This is a question from Cleve Wooten from the Washington Post. What kind of preparations went into Vice President Harris's interviews in with West Virginia stations last week?
I don't even know how to grade this question, because really it's a question about Vice President Harris upsetting Joe Manchin, who is a Democrat, but the most conservative of the Democrats in the Senate. So it's really, but Joe Manchin wants a bipartisan bill. So how do I grade this? Do I just ignore the question, or do I say this is a question about bipartisanship, or do I say it's not a question about bipartisanship? Because really it is a question about bipartisanship. That's the Joe Manchin angle, wants the bipartisanship. Because remember, he represents West Virginia, which, by the way, has done an amazing job with the vaccines. Watch 60 Minutes from last night. I don't know. What do I do with this, guys? Yes, is it a bipartisanship question or not?
I'm not sure what your question is.
What preparations went into Vice?
Yes, the vaccine, and this is all theoretical at this point, but it makes sense. The vaccine will protect you from getting sick from the virus. It will not prevent you from catching the virus, which is why we still need to keep wearing our masks, doing the social distances. And thank you, actions. Boy, how do I even get to that? You're on Twitter's. Let's see if I can click on it. Okay, 23 die. Okay, within days. Okay, of the deaths, 13 were nursing home patients who were at least 80 years old and were apparently related to the side effects of the vaccines, according to health officials. Okay, all right. 13 were nursing home patients who were at least 80 years old and were apparently related. Chief physician at the... Oh, I'll pull it over so you guys can read it. This is WBTW News 13 coverage you can count on. Myrtle Beach, Florida. Okay, let's just make sure this is a legit site. Okay, give me a second here. Because a lot of these sites, especially the television stations and radio stations, were established by Russians, etc. years ago. And I just want to make sure that that's an actual station. Looks to be so far. And... okay... stations for Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. Did I say Florida? South Carolina. I feel like in my head I said Florida. Everything's in Florida. Well, that's weird. I'm not finding them up. That can't be right. There's a list here of stations, but it's not there. Here we go. Channel 13. Yep, nope, they're legit. Let's see what they say. Health officials are looking more closely into the deaths of nearly 24 people after receiving their first dose of the Pfizer vaccine in Norway. A total of 23 people died within days of receiving their first dose. Okay, let's go to the actual statement. Okay, this is from the Norwegian Health Agency, the Medicines Agency. All reports are... okay, where's the actual... the adverse reaction statistics for the different COVID-19 vaccines are not directly comparable because they have not been used in the COVID vaccination program for the same length of time. Okay, that doesn't really... That's a news article. Let's see if we can find it. So even if suspected adverse reaction is reported, it does not necessarily mean that it was caused by vaccine. But that was back on January 21st. So this was the link from that television station. So it's possible they're misinterpreting results. Is anybody else? Let me check in here. Senator Russell was the common side effects like fever and nausea may have contributed to a fatal outcome in some frail patients. That's a possibility. But we don't know, which is what I said was going to happen in the first place. On any given day, old people die. And some people who get the vaccine are going to die. The Norwegian Medicines Agency and the National Institute of Public Health will assess all reports of suspected reactions. The Pfizer vaccine required 2 doses, more than 35 million doses of various COVID-19. Yeah, so 35 million doses, and we've got 13 to 23 dead in Norway. Hard to say that that's a direct correlation or causation. Let's find out. Moving on.
President Harris's interviews with local stations.
I don't think I finished earlier. Yes, you can get COVID even if you've been vaccinated, but it won't make you sick in 90 to 95% of the cases. So you still need to protect yourself from getting COVID-19. Now, what it does is the vaccines actually work in your lungs to prevent the replication of the virus, but the virus, you could inhale the virus and it's active in your nose and you can exhale, and that way the virus also gets out and you can make other people sick. Although I don't know of a case where that's actually been documented 100%. We're still so early in the process. Basically, even after you get the vaccine, you still need to protect yourself and you need to protect others, wear masks, social distance, etc. It's to keep you from getting sick, not to keep you from getting the virus. It trains your body to produce the antibodies necessary for fighting the virus if you get it. And if you can fight it early because your body already knows how to make the antibodies and you already have some antibodies in your body, you'll be in good shape. That's the thinking behind it. Rick says, so far of the people I know that got it, it's been split. The first is more painful than the second, or vice versa. It's like hit or miss depending on how you react, I guess. Yeah, my dad experienced a little pain around the shot. My mom did not. And neither of them had any side effects apart from my dad's arm was a little bit sore, which worth it so far.
How did your team prepare her, or can you be more?
Was it part of a larger White House strategy?
Was it This Week with George Stephanopoulos that I watched, producer Joanna? It might not be 60 Minutes. I might be incorrect on that. I can't remember. So it could, if Joanna's saying This Week with George Stephanopoulos, then watch This Week with George Stephanopoulos. We can't watch it because ABC will tag me immediately. They're very, very, very careful of their stuff getting out there, even if it's done properly.
To put pressure on politicians in West Virginia.
Our focus, the bottom line is our focus is communicating with the American people about how the American Rescue Plan can help put food on the table.
By the way, Actions, thank you very much for posting that link. I appreciate that. So much better than people just saying, oh, look it up. I'm like, I got things to do. Especially when you try and look something up and it doesn't pop up. Then it's like, oh, I don't know your rabbit holes. But I appreciate that.
Can help ensure we can get vaccines in the arms of Americans and help send kids back to school. That's our overarching objective.
Michelle points out that everyone is different. Judges? Correct. Took them a while to think about it.
With all of the communications we do.
After Senator Manchin's criticism of that interview, did President Biden personally speak with Senator Manchin?
As I noted before to an earlier question, where
oh yeah, you guys didn't tell me. Should we just ignore these questions because they're too? We don't know. Like it's about bipartisanship. It's about Senator Manchin being upset by the vice president. It's palace intrigue at this point. Okay, so it wasn't 60 Minutes. I sit corrected. It was Stephanopoulos. So, and it wasn't George yesterday, by the way. It was Martha Raddatz. Yes? Martha Raddatz? Martha, if you're watching and I got your name wrong, I apologize. I'm not muted.
We're certainly in touch with Senator Manchin and his team, as we have been for some time and will continue to be, and he's an important partner.
So ABC's This Week with George Stephanopoulos with Martha Raddatz.
As we look to move forward on this package and, of course, all of the president's agenda.
And I have a question about the meeting with Republican senators today. The proposal.
All right, so this is all about palace intrigue. I'm going to count this question as a real question. I don't know. Do I count those other questions? No. If there's a producer, there's several producers in the room. Guys, what are your thoughts? Do I count those questions about Joe Manchin, or do I just ignore the questions completely, or do I count them as real questions? I don't know what to do with those. I'll let you decide.
That they put forward would take the over $300 billion in aid to states and local governments that Biden has put forward and zero that out. Would there be
But what are you saying? No what? What? How do we count them? Give me specifics at random.
no aid in their proposal to state and local governments? Is that a non-starter for President Biden? I mean, can he even move forward with a...
Not real questions? Okay, we're just going to ignore everything that he said up until that previous question, or the question that's happening right now.
A proposal like that?
Well, there is a reason that funding was in the initial proposal, including, sometimes the definition of calling it state and local means people don't know what it means, right? It is, and I'm not suggesting you're doing that. We've probably shorthanded it too. That is funding for firefighters, for
police,
local communities, for enabling them to help get through this period of time. I'm not going to outline for you what the red lines are from the podium when there's discussions that are ongoing. But again, the reason that each component was put in the package was because economists, health experts, many that the president and others consulted with felt there were essential components to help get the American people through this period of time.
Can I follow up on that state and local?
Sure.
Republicans are pointing to a J.P. Morgan report that most states haven't had a drop in tax revenues, and some states have seen an increase in tax revenues as an example of why that state and local tax relief or state and local relief isn't needed in this latest package.
Well, again, I think...
Oh, I got to look at that. I'm going to make a note to myself. J.P. Morgan, different states. I do not know how some states have seen an increase in tax revenue since COVID. But okay, I'll take a look at it. This question. This is the Republicans pointing to that, but they're not specifically talking about bipartisan yet. So
our objective is
I'm going to say this is a valid question. Good work.
Focus on not J.P. Morgan reports, but what state, local governments and others are telling us they need to ensure that the people in their districts, the resources in their districts, the people who are making government function in their districts have the funding and resources they need. Go ahead. Hi, Mish.
Hi, how are you? Two questions. The first is, does the president support House Democrats moving forward?
There's Yamich.
With the process of reconciliation today, there's some reporting that they're waiting for the guidance from the White House.
The president, as was noted in the statement...
That's a real question. She's not asking about the meeting or specifically bipartisanship, rather than she's talking about a parliamentary procedure.
Last night is grateful for the urgency and the pace at which they're moving, and as you know, this process can take a little bit of time. But he certainly supports them moving forward to move a package ahead. But again, the process through the mechanics through which they move is up to them. He's leaving it up to them, and he believes that there is still room for bipartisan support for this package, which is why he's having this meeting today, and why he'll remain very engaged himself, and why he's asked his senior team to remain very engaged in the days ahead.
If anyone has seen the J.P. Morgan report on what states did better than others during the past year in terms of tax revenue, I can't find it. So if somebody has seen it, please post it.
Follow-up to that, just with reconciliation, is there a timeline that this White House is looking at as, okay, now we have to move forward with reconciliation? You keep talking about how urgent it is. I'm wondering if there's a deadline in the White House's mind or in the president's mind to say, okay, we have to move forward at this date.
Again, urgent.
Okay, so that's not a question about bipartisanship, so I'm counting that.
It means urgent. It means this is going to be the focus of the president, the vice president, his senior team. Hence, he's having a group of Republican senators here later today. He will continue to be closely engaged with not just Speaker Pelosi and Leader Schumer, but a range of Democrats, as will members of our team. And the fact that he's spending so much time on it, and our team is, shows you how much of a priority it is here.
Can I ask you about COVID? I know there was a COVID briefing today, but one statistic that really stood out to me, and probably to a lot of Americans, is about 47% of vaccinations are coming in with racial data. That means more than 50% don't have racial data. I'm wondering if the president has a fix for that, if there's a legislative or a policy change that's going to be made, because I'm wondering how you ensure that the vaccine is given equitably if you don't know who's getting it.
Well, first, the racial disparities and the impact of this pandemic are not lost on the president, and that's one of the reasons he asked Dr. Marcela Nunez-Smith, who was, of course, part of the briefing this morning, to lead this task force, and why he campaigned on the need for a response rooted in addressing the disproportionate impact on communities of color. There are a couple of steps that we are taking substantively. One includes standing up and supporting additional venues for vaccinations targeted at reaching those at the highest risk and the communities hardest hit by this pandemic. So going into communities and meeting people where they are and not expecting,
Theoretically, this should continue.
Stanley Tucci, Searching for Italy, coming February
what are we on
14th
now?
on CNN.
Okay, it just skipped it. Hold on. I'm going to go back. Or maybe it didn't skip it. Yeah, it did skip it because we're not seeing it. Okay, this is from yesterday. Hold on, guys. I'll find it. Give me a second. So it was the top of the hour. New in my library. Can't I just click on that? No? Recordings. Here we go. So we went from, it was politics, inside politics, working up here to, where is it? What comes on after Inside Politics on CNN? All right, we'll go to C-SPAN. We'll find it. Well, was it on MTP Daily? Hold on. 10 a.m. Yep.
With racial data, it means more than 50%.
Response rooted in addressing the disproportionate impact on communities of color. There are a couple of steps that we are taking substantively. One includes standing up and supporting additional venues.
Yeah, Yoshi, we found out that Screech died today. Dustin Diamond. Sad day. We talked about that a little bit earlier, but thank you.
For vaccinations targeted at reaching those at the highest risk and the communities hardest hit by this pandemic. So going into communities and meeting people where they are and not expecting, every community to go out and seek and search where they can find the vaccine. Meeting with states to discuss their plans for ensuring equitable vaccine distribution and offering assistance in achieving that goal. So as you all know, and we've talked about it in here, governors are obviously overseeing the distribution and efforts to ensure that the vaccine is getting into communities across the country. We are closely engaged with them and looking for ways to help assist in that front and think strategically and creatively.
That's vaccine, everybody. That's vaccine right there.
Creatively about how to do that. And we're also working with CDC to identify and explore ways to urgently improve the quality of vaccination data reporting by race and ethnicity. There's no question it's not the level that we need it to be at.
Is there like a directive that's going to happen, or is there a message to the people that are giving out the vaccines? We need this data.
Ruth Ann asks, have you ever accidentally walked into a convenience store without a mask and freak out and run back to the car? Yes! No, I can't remember if it's a convenience store, but I've done that. I've been walking away from the car, doop-to-doo, and then I look at everybody else and I see somebody wearing a mask and I'm like, oh, crap! Ah! Yes. Never did that before last year. No idea why.
Or how that actually gets changed on the ground level. Is it a president? I don't know if it's a presidential memorandum or a policy change.
Yamich is running up the score here with the questions, but this is not.
I'm just wondering if someone walks into CVS, how does that person taking their data say, yes, the White House needs me to get this data from this person?
Well, again, equity is essential and a priority in everything we do. including addressing COVID and the pandemic, which is the president's top priority. I would certainly defer to our health and medical experts, who I know spoke to this a bit this morning, and I think Dr. Marcela Nunez-Smith will be out more in the next 24 hours or so, talking more about steps we can take on this front. Go ahead.
I have a follow-up to Amish's great question about reconciliation, and it's that the Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell back in 2017 famously said, winners make policy, losers go home. Given that, why shouldn't Democrats, why shouldn't President Biden be as tactically ruthless as Republicans have been in pushing priorities that he champions?
Well,
I'm going to count this as a question about bipartisanship, because that's what it is. Although not saying why, tell us about the meeting, etc. It's a valid question of winners make policy. And I mean, we know that Mitch has been ruthless and cutthroat for years. Why shouldn't the president do that? Good question. It's counting for both, is what I'm saying. It's a good question, but it's also about bipartisanship. But I like the framing of the question better than all the other nonsense. This now makes 15 questions about why isn't everybody all holding hands?
Well, I think the president has been clear that he is encouraged by the pace and the rapid pace, I should say, that Speaker Pelosi and Senator Schumer are moving this package forward at. At the same time, as you know, there is time because this process can take a bit to make changes as needed. And he wants to be a part of those conversations. Hence, he invited Republicans to do that exactly here today. I can't speak to Senator McConnell's role or commitment or point of view or anything. He's certainly not asking me to be a spokesperson, Lord knows. But, President Biden ran on a commitment of course, unifying the country, but also of hearing from all sides and engaging and having an opportunity to have discussions. And today is part of doing that.
And quickly, can I circle back, to use that phrase, to a question I asked during the transition?
Anyone can steal it. Just means you have to get back.
So I'll circle back to this. Has the White House made a determination about whether it will continue to extend the privilege of intelligence briefings to former President Trump, given the concerns?
That's a real question.
Concerns among some Democrats that he'll either misuse it or leverage it to enrich himself?
Mm-hmm. This is a good question. I've raised it with our intelligence teams, or our national security team, I should say. It's something, obviously, that's under review, but there was not a conclusion last I asked them about it, but I'm happy to follow up on it and see if there's more to share. Go ahead in the back.
Right, thank you, Jen. Last Friday, a few dozen men from the white supremacist group Patriot Front were filmed marching on the National Mall toward the Capitol. What is the administration's latest threat assessment on white supremacist groups like this coming to Washington? Is the threat seen as increasing?
Well, I think the fact that there was a tasking done through our national security team on domestic violent extremism that is going to review all activity that could pose a threat, including the activities of white supremacists, tells you what a priority is and tells you that we believe that there is more that needs to be done and a greater assessment. So that review is ongoing. As soon as it...
Ruth Ann says there's a real question coming up, so I appreciate that. So some of you have already watched this. This is delayed, by the way. If you want to watch this on your own, you're welcome to. It's out there somewhere. Go to C-SPAN, you'll find it. But we're well behind now because we've been pausing constantly and complaining about the questions.
It's concluded. I'm sure we'll have more to share with all of you about our view at this point in time. Go ahead.
Thanks, Jen. On just a bit of a housekeeping matter, since the Senate delayed its confirmation vote on Alejandro Mayorkas, does that mean that the immigration rollout that you guys have linked to that confirmation is going to be pushed back as well?
Well, we are certainly hopeful he will be confirmed tomorrow, and we have every intention of moving forward tomorrow with the immigration executive actions that we have discussed in here a bit. Go ahead in the back.
Thank you. Last week, a statue of Mahatma Gandhi was desecrated, vandalized in the city of Davis in California. There is outrage among the Indian Americans, others followers of Gandhi in this country. Does the president knows about it? Does he has any thought? And this for the third time this has happened in this country in last 1 year. Last 2 times what happened in the city itself in Washington, D.C.
Yeah, so 3 times now, statues of Mahatma Gandhi have been vandalized in the United States in the last year. This is what he's asking about. I guess last week it happened again in California somewhere. Why? Why are people vandalizing statues of Gandhi?
Well, we certainly would have concern about the desecration of monuments of Gandhi.
By the way, President Trump signed that law. It wasn't a law. Saying that you get 10 years and then nobody attacks statues ever again. And that was the end of the story. So this guy's lying about this question.
That's certainly what we would express. Were you sorry, what was the last part of the question you were asking?
Does the president knows about it, and what are his thoughts on it?
What are the president's thoughts on it?
If there's more to share on the president's point of view on it, I'm happy to get back to you on that. But
there was a Gandhi statue, one of them, and I believe it's the one up in Davis, California. This might be the same statue he's talking about there, but there is a Gandhi statue that was vandalized that when I saw it, I didn't recognize as Mahatma Gandhi. So maybe the people vandalizing don't know it. I don't know. Like, why? Why are you vandalizing statues of Gandhi? It probably says, I'm guessing, and this, I don't know this for 100%, but I think there's probably pretty good odds that there's some sort of plaque associated with this statue that has the name on it. If there's anybody who lives in Davis, check out that statue. I want to say it was Davis. This is months ago that this happened.
certainly we would, condemn that desecration and watch it closely.
One follow-up on Burma, logistic question. Do you recognize the new army leadership in Burma, or you don't recognize that a legitimate government in Burma?
Well, I think our statement makes clear what our view is on the events of the last few days and where we stand with the declared new government.
As you know, President Trump has been barred from a lot of social media sites. Just curious whether you think his absence has made your...
Oh, okay. It was the same Gandhi statue in Davis, California. And they've apparently removed it in Davis because of repeated vandalism, which is... I don't begrudge them removing the statue if people are going to constantly... But why? Why are you vandalizing a statue? Okay.
Good morning. It's Monday, February 1st. I'm Ty Steele.
And I'm Tony Valier. Here's a look at our big stories today.
Tonight, the president's mask mandate takes effect for all public transportation that crosses state lines on taxi.
Shot and killed a man interviewed. Forecast activity, though, we've had that out this year. We had a really nice morning.
Okay, this has nothing to do with Gandhi, so I'm not sure why this was on that page. Sad, though, somebody was shot.
Job any easier, or the White House's job any easier as it kind of goes forward on these COVID negotiations?
In what way?
He'd create a lot of noise, right? He would have certain gravitational pull with Republicans who may...
Hold on.
Well, I think our statement makes clear what our view is on the events of the last few days and where we stand with the declared new government.
As you know, President Trump has been barred from a lot of social media sites. Just curious whether you think his absence has made your job any easier, or the White House's job any easier as it kind of goes forward on these COVID negotiations.
In what way?
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out how to classify this question, because so far it's not about bipartisanship, but let's see what he says about Trump's influence on the Republican Party.
He'd create a lot of noise, right? He would have certain gravitational pull.
I like watch the interpreter here. Watch Jen. She's all like, in what way? And then the interpreter down in the corner. I'm gonna zoom in on her. Here she is. Watch the interpreter go like, what? Where? Oh, that's not. Don't. Quiet. Sorry, guys. Watch the interpreter in the corner right here. I can put it in studio mode so I can go back and forth. Give me a second. Okay. Here is Jen Psaki.
Just curious whether you think his absence has made your job any easier, or the White House's job any easier as it kind of goes forward on these COVID negotiations.
In what way?
He'd create a lot of noise, right? He would have certain gravitational pull with Republicans who may be more inclined to take a harder position. Wonder if that's been anything that you guys...
She's just like...
thought about or kind of considered.
This may be hard to believe. We don't spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about President Trump here. Former President Trump, to be very clear. I think that's a question that's probably more appropriate for Republican members who are looking for ways to support a bipartisan package.
Let's go back on that.
Are thinking about President.
You would have certain gravitational pull with Republicans who may be more inclined to take a harder position. Wonder if that's been anything that you guys have thought about or kind of considered.
This may be hard to believe. We don't spend a lot of time talking about or thinking about President Trump here. Former President Trump, to be very clear. I think that's a question that's probably more appropriate for Republican members who are looking for ways to support a bipartisan package and whether that gives them space. But I can't say we miss him on Twitter.
Does President Biden support the continuing ban of President Trump on their sites?
I think that's a decision made by Twitter. We've certainly spoken to, and he's spoken to, the need for social media platforms to continue to take steps to reduce hate speech. But we don't have more for you on it than that.
Particular way that the president is trying to keep touch with.
We don't spend a lot of time thinking about President Trump.
The basic everyday Americans.
Why? Because he lost. Done.
Such as getting a sampling of letters that are sent to him, as some past presidents have done, especially as it relates to the pandemic.
That's such a good question.
Such a good question, but I didn't hear it.
The way that the president is trying to keep touch with basic everyday Americans, such as getting a sampling of letters that are sent to him, as some past presidents have done, especially as it relates to the pandemic.
Something about the president keeping track or keeping in touch with everyday Americans? Maybe we can gauge what she actually said by Jen's reaction.
That's such a good question. You know, he is looking to remain engaged. It's hard when we haven't done any travel yet, and we're certainly hoping to do that at some point in time to engage with Americans more directly. I don't have anything specific. He does receive, of course, letters. It takes some time for them to come in. As you know, they kind of go through a process once they arrive at the White House. That's something he's eager to have access to. Obviously, there's also many ways to provide feedback or input to the White House, which he's eager to receive too. But let me see if I can get more detail for you on that. Go ahead, Darlene.
Another house.
Okay, so I'm writing that is a nonpartisan question. So that's a valid question. Talking about, I think, as from what I can gauge there, Americans sending letters to President Biden and him keeping in touch with everyday Americans.
Housekeeping question. Do you know if all 10 senators are coming to the meeting this evening?
Oh, we're back to the meeting. Okay, that's a housekeeping question. Are all 10 senators coming to the meeting?
It's a great question.
Are they all coming?
It is not a great question.
I don't have a
That's not really that relevant.
Official manifest, but we will venture to circle back with all of you on that after.
Circling back.
For the briefing.
And if I can ask another one on Burma. The president.
Oh, there's a question on Burma. Okay, that's a good one right there. How do those 10 Republicans feel about what we call Burma?
Statement that just came out. He's calling on the international community to come together in one voice to press the Burmese military to reverse what they've done. But do the events at the Capitol on January 6th make it harder for the United States to be part of this international community that he's calling on?
Look, I think President Biden, I don't think the international community sees President Biden as a root of the events on January 6th. And certainly he has made every effort through conversations directly with partners and allies, through how he has spoken publicly in disgust about the events on January 6th, and through his own commitment to restoring rule of law, democracy here in the United States. The United States remains a country in the world that is looked to for leadership, and it's going to take some time, but he's certainly committed to doing that.
Thank you.
I didn't really understand the question, and I didn't really understand the answer, but I'm okay.
Go ahead.
Another housekeeping related to the Capitol. Does the president or anyone else here plan to visit Wednesday to pay respects to Officer Sicknick?
I will check on his schedule for you, Ed, and if there's more to outline for you. Go ahead, Hans.
You may get into this tomorrow if we have an immigration preview or later tonight. But if for unaccompanied migrants arriving at the border now, after that appeals court decision, are they being turned away right now?
We're going to have a briefing tonight for all of you on our actions tomorrow, and the president will have more to say. So I'll refer to that.
Is that going to be one of the subjects, one of the items that's going to be discussed?
I'm not going to preview it more for you. We're still kind of doing the final review, believe it or not. But we'll have a briefing tonight in advance of our announcement tomorrow.
Oh, thank you, At Random. That makes sense. It was whether or not the events at the Capitol on January 6th hurt our credibility to then criticize the coup in Myanmar, Burma. So, yeah, no, valid question. So she was correct in saying it was a good question. I'm glad you cleared that up for us. Thank you, At Random. I couldn't really understand what she was saying.
Great. Thank you, everyone.
All right. Welcome to Monday.
In her WWDTM, what would Donald Trump mean interview, she said she really does circle back. What is WWDTM? Should I know this? West Wing. I don't know what that means. So there we have it. Final tally on that. Actual questions. 20, 40, 41 actual questions. A total of 17 on the meeting and bipartisanship. So great. Oh, wait, don't tell me. Oh, I was going to say, wait, don't tell me what WWDTM. See, if I just figured that out, if I'd figured it out, I would have said, no, you know what? Hold on, wait, don't tell me what WWDTM. I'll figure it out. I blew it. Judges agree. I know I blew it. Guys, it's been a pleasure. And Marcy knew it too. Everybody got that right off the bat. I just call it wait, don't tell me, because that's 4 syllables less than WWDTM. Trust me, as someone with the last name Williams, I understand the use of W. Joanna mentioned she was on it this weekend. Okay, I didn't hear it. So just color me stupid. I'm not fancy enough to listen to your NPR. I will tell you this story, though. I went out on a first date with a young lady at one point, and I told her, because at the time I did, I said, and then I sell songs on iTunes, and the proceeds from one of those songs, I donated to NPR. And and her response to me was, yeah, I'm a big supporter of the NPR, because my dad has rifles. There was no second date. Just so you know the end of that story. We got married immediately. Marched right to the courthouse. Her dad was not happy about it, which was unfortunate. Turns out he had guns. He was an NPR member. That's a true story, kids. And I think that's the last story we're going to tell during this session of whatever we're calling this. I haven't decided yet. So, hey, thanks for watching an actual press conference. I don't know how long it's going to take to wean the press off of the way it's been for the last 4 years with 17 out of 41 questions. Yeah, 17. I might have said 14 before because I'm not smart. Just chasing the dog. Or chasing the dog's tail, or chasing the bar. I don't know. Just whatever. Guys, maybe we'll see you later today. Maybe not. Got a lot of stuff to do. I hope you do too. Everybody stay safe, stay warm, and here are some closing credits. Oh, I'll interrupt the closing credits. I'll show you guys something. That was a picture of a dog. I should have showed you that. So I have a list of I have a to-do app. So I now have the to-do app, and I'm going to put closing credits on there. I know because of the light you couldn't see that, and I actually did that on purpose because I thought better of showing you actual personal information and putting that on the web. Not that I would mind any of you good people watching it, but I know that bad people also sometimes watch this broadcast. So here are some wonderful people. If you want to be one of the wonderful people and get your name in the credits, then please go to KevinlyFather.com and donate some money to me on Patreon there. You can also send me some money here at paypal.me/KevinlyDad or Venmo Kevin-Williams-157. And you can be some wonderful people. And t-shirts that say, I don't spend a lot of time thinking about Donald Trump. Maybe that'll end up on the t-shirts. Producer Rich, I didn't see him in here today, so I do have to... Oh, I'm going to put that on there. Thank you for the reminder. T-shirts. Okay, t-shirts. T-shirts, because I have been promising t-shirts for, what has it been, like 8 months now? I got to get on that, guys, and we will get on that. And executive producer Rich is running that operation. So I need to give him the tools to do his job, which he has volunteered for which he has volunteered. Anyway, that's enough of that, guys. Here's some closing credits.
Kevin, thanks for that.
The end.